Welcome to Palm Paradise, powered by Boca Magazine. I'm Christiana Lilly.
I'm Portia Smith-Tejan.
I'm Olivia Holaus, and we are the Palm Queens. Episode 14, ladies.
Wow.
Thanks, everybody, for coming along on this ride.
Bringing it back.
Crazy, though. Crazy how quickly time flies, because I think it was around this time last year that we all had the idea to do a podcast.
Yeah, in this room, I think, right?
Yeah.
We were at the ribbon cutting, and we did the
Like
test
a mock
one.
thing
the
or
mock,
whatever.
Yeah.
And we sat in here.
I actually feel like our mock podcast topic was very interesting.
Me too.
We were talking about raising your kids to be bilingual and like the struggles with that, because you were talking about how difficult it was for your kids, and Olivia has, successfully done that with both for kids. Are both of your kids bilingual?
They're bilingual. Interestingly enough, my first one, Guillaume, spoke French immediately. Like, I didn't really have to program him to speak to me in French.
Program him.
Whereas Gianluca understands everything, but he has a tendency of speaking to me in English. So I have to make him repeat. And he does. He doesn't put up a fight. But it's very different.
Why do you think that is? Guillaume grew up...
Because I know Guillaume went to a French school, right?
He did. I don't really think it's the French school, because I think at this French school, a lot of kids actually spoke in English to each other. That's a whole other topic.
Also, when he was born and raised in China, so then was there just not a lot of English around him anyway? And then with you, he was just speaking French? Maybe that had something to do with it?
That could be it. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Whereas Gianluca here, he's hearing English at school
and
his
the
father
supermarket speaks to him in English. So yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not panicking yet. Because he does understand everything, and you know what? I'll just send him to camp in France or Switzerland.
Okay.
French boot camp.
The French boot camp. Not now,
No,
but when he's old enough, I'm like, that's what you'll do. Because I spend my summers in Europe, and even though I spoke French as my mother tongue, I remember always coming back and my vocabulary was so much better just because I wasn't in that environment. So
I pick up more like slang and cultural
nuances.
words.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm working a lot more now with France. And so even now I feel like my French has gotten even better.
Yeah.
You just came back from France.
I did. Just came back from Paris, my happy place.
How
was it?
Excursion through Paris.
Oh, it's honestly the best always. But this trip, I feel like, was next level. It was great. And then, I go with my bestie, Reagan. So the two of us are, just like one. We like the same things. We want to do the same things. So it's just simpatico.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's people that you could get along with, but you can't, they're just not good travel buddies.
Yeah.
Like I have some friends that I've traveled with that I was like, that was miserable. And our friendship is hanging by a thread now.
Our friendship come back from this? It was seriously, it's so funny how as you get older, you think, oh yeah, girls trips. And then you go on them and you're like, how did I not know this about your personality? Like somehow once we get on the airplane and we hit our destination, either you're a different person or I just never seen these characteristics, but it just brings out either the best or the worst in,
reminds me kind of like when you're in college, you have friends that you're really good friends with, but that you could never have them as a roommate.
Yeah.
That was my experience.
Yeah.
Best friend from high school. We go to UF. We room together. That was the end of that friendship. Seriously, there was no clawing back. And it's sad.
It is super sad. What's funny is, because you guys know me by now, I'm pretty curt sometimes. And I'm just like, it is what it is type of personality. And I remember when I went to USF, went to Tampa, my best friend, I'm talking about, we did everything together, basketball, everything. We went to school together, and she was like, okay, we're gonna room together, and I was like, we are not. And she was so offended, and I was like, I want our friendship to last. We can't be roommates.
You were already so smart because you already knew that.
I just knew it wasn't.
It was like
a date. Yeah.
But even now, I would say there's some friends I know, like, they're not travel buddies for sure.
I can still be friends with them. We need to travel in a big group, so there's a buffer, or it's not going to be a one-on-one trip.
And never travel in threes. So either 2, 4, and then you can go up, because there's always one that's left out.
Smart. I wouldn't have thought about that. What about couples, have you guys done a lot of couple traveling trips?
We haven't gone away somewhere. We've like gone to visit another couple, or maybe like there's 3 couples that we're going to go visit our friend at their home in North Carolina or their home in California or something like that. And then that couple maybe feels a little bit like, oh, we're the host. We have to take them everywhere and get all these activities. But we've never actually been like, oh, we're going to go meet at this place. I've done girls' trips, with my friends from college. We've gone to like Nashville. We did North Georgia. We've gone to Napa Valley. And we travel well together. But that's just funny how it's changed because some of them are parents now.
Yeah.
And so it's different from when we were partying in college. And now it's like, oh, we have to go say goodnight on FaceTime to the kids. So it's like before dinner, there's the goodnight call. And then, like, Mommy, when are you coming home? And they're like, I left this morning.
Well, actually, in Paris, we're at the bar having a drink. And who calls me, FaceTimes me? Gianluca. I'm like, hi. Where are you, Mom? Oh, I'm just at a restaurant, and meanwhile there's a DJ in the back.
Do your kids get upset when you leave or like,
Out of sight, out of mind. I've always said that, know.
What about you? When your kids were little,
They didn't really get upset. They just nag me a little more than like when I'm there. Yeah. And I'm like, you wouldn't normally be calling me this much. But,
Well, actually, I came back and I was telling Guillaume, oh, I missed you so much. And you know what he responded? You're only gone for 4 days. Oh. I was like, oh, okay. Well, then next time I'll be gone 6 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Guilt removed.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of parenting, we actually have the OG parent blogger on the podcast today. So stay tuned for that. You might recognize a modern Boca Mom in our midst. All right, everybody, we have Michelle Olson-Rogers, who is the founder of Modern Boca Mom, as well as a longtime contributor to BocaMag.com. Thank you, Michelle. We're so glad we could finally get you on.
I'm so excited to be with the Pom Queen.
Yeah! And so
you all got excited.
So you were mentioning that this year you've been writing for BocaMag.com for 10 years.
Yep, 2015, I started writing about Boca family life for the magazine, and it's been great. BocaMag.com, I think, was kind of in its infancy back then. Yeah. I mean, and they were building their blogger base, so people were covering different topics, and I was asked to cover Boca Mom Talk. That was my column name. I think it's kind of fallen by the wayside these days because I cover so much, but I am so glad to be a part of the family.
And something fun, I remember when I first started at Boca Magazine, first off, all you guys are both there. And when I used to make videos, I remember the first video I did was with 4-year-old Avery and 3-year-old Guillaume, Olivia's son, and we went to see the Lego exhibit at the Cox Science Center.
Right.
Yes. And Avery was not having Guillaume's shenanigans.
She was a very mature 4-year-old and was like, what is that?
Guillaume's like, they're Legos. I'm going to play with Legos. And Avery's like, I have a very specific way we're going to play.
She was a blogger kid from the start. She was like, where's my mark? Tell me what to
do. Meanwhile, mine's a hot mess. But yes, that was actually really fun.
It was.
And they were so little. And now, how old is Avery now?
She just turned 12.
No.
Oh. I saw your post and you were like, this is somebody mentioned it's their last year in the teens. I was like, oh man. I feel that post. I know what that felt like.
Yep. So the last year before she becomes a teenager, but she is just a great kid, and she's great at school. She's a very dedicated ballerina. She's a great cousin. She's just awesome. I'm her biggest fan, obviously.
Yeah.
You molded that. So great job.
You're mini-me. She's your mini-me.
Exactly.
Her dad had a little bit to do with it.
Okay, I give him a little credit.
I suppose. And so you were born and raised in Boca. I know, Olivia, you went away for a little bit, but you were raised in Boca. How has the family scene changed from when you were little Michelle to now raising your daughter?
Olivia, do you even recognize where we live?
No, I really don't. I think it's actually becoming so vibrant and so much more youthful, because I remember growing up here, I could not wait to leave, and here I am back raising my family. So what are your thoughts?
I feel the same way. Boca was such a dedicated retirement destination for so long, and people would laugh and say, you're from Boca Raton, or even just Florida in general. And now there are so many more millennials, young adults who have grown up here and have seen the change in our area, not just demographically, but in terms of development and just more amazing things to do, resources. I mean, Boca is just, it's a wonderful place to raise a family, and honestly, to, you know, maybe your kids will go away from for college, but they will hopefully want to come back. I called myself for a long time a Boca boomerang because I was born and raised here. My parents moved here in the 70s. My mom went to Marymount College prior to becoming Lynn University, and then finished out. This was a 2-year school at the time, and then she went to FAU to finish out her degree. And my parents got married here, and you know, I, of course, wanted to go somewhere else to college, see another part, at least, of the state. I went to Flagler College in St. Augustine, but then, you know, job in New York, had to have a taste of big city life. But as soon as I got pregnant, I was like, you know what, honey, we're moving back to Boca to be near my parents. And so I'm so glad that my folks chose a place that I would want to return to. I think they could really see the potential here in Florida. My dad, he always joked around that he was going to start out retired and work till he died. He was going to do it in reverse. He had a family history where his father and his stepfather unfortunately passed away very young. And so he took the year after he graduated from college and traveled the entire United States with the exception of Texas, Alaska, and Hawaii.
You miss Texas?
For some reason, Texas just wasn't on his list. Like he wanted to find a place to settle down.
Right.
And so he looked all over, and it ended up being between San Diego and Boca Raton, Florida. And he chose Boca because at the time, and it probably still is the case, it was a lot cheaper to purchase property closer to the water. So
Than San Diego,
San Diego, yeah. So he chose here, and I think it probably didn't, you know, hurt that my mom was going to college here at the same time.
Okay, there was a real reason.
That was the real reason.
Yeah, so he saw the potential, and I mean, it was just farmland. I hear stories about, you know, big Friday nights at Taco Viva at the Boca Mall, which is now Meisner Park. And, you know, there was really just nothing west of 95. And honestly, it didn't even develop that much until we were probably in our late teens as well. It just things started moving further west. But I think when they opened Meisner, that was a game changer. I remember being in middle school, and that was huge because your parents could drop you off. You could walk around with your friends, and there wasn't anything really that existed like that kind of had restaurants and shops and movie theaters and like things to do all in one safe place.
And to think that when they were building Meisner Park, it was such a controversial project that like tore the town apart.
I know.
You know,
it's so crazy. Liberties, remember Liberties?
I do. Liberties bookstore. I remember that smell walking in with the coffee and the cake. It's ingrained in my brain. And I'm glad that they put the iPic there because a movie theater was meant to anchor.
That's where we used to hang out. We probably saw each other.
We
just didn't know. We weren't in the same group.
The two Amazonian women in iPic.
I wasn't that tall back in the day. That was later.
Late growth spurt.
So Modern Boca Mom, what was the sort of the impetus of starting, you know, this family mom blog?
Well, it goes back to that whole boomerang comment that I made. Really, you know, I had my daughter when I was still living in New York City. And then when she was a few months old, we moved back down to Boca Raton, and I had not lived here since I was in high school. And clearly my needs as a new resident or a returning resident had changed, you know. I really needed to find out where mommy and me classes were, you know, child-friendly restaurants, things to do, people to meet. And there was nothing out there that was directing new parents to do all of those things. So I figured I'll find out the information, at least put it all in one place, and at least I'll know what's going on. Even if nobody else reads it, we'll see. And within the first week, I had over 1,000 hits, and I thought, okay, maybe I might be onto something here. So
I'm not the only parent in Boca.
Right. I'm not the only one. And I felt just, you know, personally that I was on a mission to find my own tribe, and I just knew I wasn't probably alone in that. And so, and you know, Facebook and Instagram was still pretty new. But I, you know, started my social media channels. I started an e-newsletter, and my goal was just to try to make Boca parenting my beat and to do research and experience things and bring my daughter along for the ride, because truly a lot of the things, and I launched Modern Boca Mom back in 2014. So it's been 11 years this March. Truly, some of the experiences that I've had through, you know, opening my business for my family have just been amazing. We wouldn't have had certain experiences, travel, just different things without me being Modern Boca Mom.
Well, honestly, I didn't meet Michelle at Boca Mag. I actually met Michelle online. I found you on social media, and I was moving back from China with a little one, and that's
and they're only a year apart. Yeah,
and that's how I met
right.
you, and then our paths actually crossed. But
I'm sure you're
so
like,
cool.
quite a bit, Olivia. Our paths crossed.
And Olivia, I imagine you're like, what is there to do with kids in Boca?
Exactly. And I use it still to this day as a guide. So yeah.
You know what's funny? That even when, because my kids are older, they're in their later teens, but even after working at Boca Magazine and seeing your blog, I would religiously go on your blog every summer because I was like, okay, where am I going to put these kids for summer camp? Like, what's going on? What to do with them in the summer too? Because that's the next thing.
Yes.
It's like in addition to camp, you got to entertain them. They're in your face. You got to entertain them. And I would always go to her blog, and that's when I realized, like, wow, you're probably like the first Facebook group, if that makes sense. Like, before Facebook groups were a thing.
One of the first for sure.
Yeah.
It's great. I one of the things that I love about being a hyper local blogger, because first and foremost, I started out as a blogger and a content creator, and now we've evolved things. People are influencers and doing all that stuff, and I don't know, influencer sometimes feels like a dirty word in my industry. But I really love the fact that I can meet my readers in person. Or help them out from something that I experienced firsthand in the Facebook group. That's so exciting to me. There's a lot of wonderful macro content creators out there and influencers who have millions of followers, but chances are they're not running into somebody who reads their column in Boca Mag religiously each month in the local Starbucks. People will come up to my husband, they're like, "You're Modern Boca Dad." And he's like, "Yep, yes I am."
Does he love it? Does he secretly love it?
I don't know. I think Andy likes to be a behind the camera type of guy, but he's always game, and I appreciate that, because when it all comes down to it, being a family content creator, it's a family business.
Yeah.
And we're seeing too that in social media with influencers and content creators, sometimes it's those micro influencers that are so much more powerful, because they might not have 1 million followers, but the followers that they do have are checking every day, they're reading everything, and they actually go to the places, they use those coupon codes, they use all those things more.
They're engaged.
Engaging, absolutely.
Yes, and they'll tag you in their post when they go somewhere, and it's so fun because if I work with a local restaurant, for example, I worked with this wonderful restaurant called Tartelette Patisserie. They have a high tea here in Boca, so I took a couple of my girlfriends and her little one. I have a series called Secret Boca going right now, where I'm finding these little gems in town. It's proving to do very well. And within that first weekend, people were tagging me in posts about that restaurant. And so the restaurant was emailing me, and they were so grateful because they could immediately see the return on their investment in my marketing services. Because when it comes down to it, that's what I'm doing. I'm marketing your business or your service or your whatever it is. And I love to spread the word, especially when it's a small business, something that, you really want to succeed in the community. That's what I love. I love growing with my,
Has there ever been a time where you've said, you know what, this business doesn't align with me and what I really believe in? Like, have you had those moments too?
Question.
Definitely. I think for me, it's more about the category, because really the way that I work with local businesses is I try to work with the best one in each category for parenting. So the best pediatrician, the best dance school, the best regular school, all these different businesses. I like to kind of fill those buckets for parents. So if they need something, I have a recommendation, a tried and true proven recommendation for them. But there's certain categories where Boca is just very saturated. 2 examples: real estate agents. I love them, but I have many that I'm friends with, and it would be very difficult to choose to work with one exclusively, because I really do offer an exclusive partnership with my clients. The other, med spas. Again, there are a lot, and I just feel like when I recommend a business and I'm recommending, 20 that do the same thing, that recommendation kind of gets diluted a bit. So I really try to stay away from those categories if I can, just because it's, there's just so many wonderful options in town that it would be very hard to pick just one.
Because people are more than, like, there might be a parent, but they're also a mom who needs a break, or they need to, they're more than just who they are in relation to their children. So I can see that just being an a large encompassing topic.
Yeah.
And so you were talking about, like influencers, and now we were having a conversation offline about how
Yes. At a fancy luncheon at the Addison. You can tell the viewers where we were.
Yes.
Oh, that luncheon. Yeah.
And it was interesting was, I've been seeing influencers talking more about, how much exposure to have their children online, and, people have different ideas about that. And you had some really interesting insights, especially being more of a local blogger. I want you to share that with everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, to each their own. I think how you choose to share your child on social media is a very personal choice, and typically, chosen by both parents. I am a micro influencer, as you mentioned. I have like over 20,000 followers. I don't have over 100, which is typically the number where you become a macro. And I am a local resident. I feel like the people that I'm trying to reach are my neighbors, are my friends. I have a very, very positive account. I really haven't had too many experiences where I've had trolls or anything terrible happen. But I started this business when Avery was a baby. And so by being a mom, she kind of naturally was woven into my storytelling. And so I think it would have been very hard to kind of do what I do without having her be a part of it. And now that she's gotten older, she definitely has a say in what she is able to do or not do, or wants to do or doesn't want to do. And as she gets even older than this, I really have to kind of think about how I'm going to frame things going forward. So I've really tried to kind of shift my content focus to being more about me. I absolutely include my family when it makes the most sense. And again, my husband's not going anywhere, so he's locked in. But yeah, when it comes to Avery, I think a lot of my followers are invested in her story too.
We've watched Avery grow up, and I'm like, oh, she's in a play again this year. What's her role?
Exactly. Even one of my longtime clients, Florida Prepaid College Savings Plans, I've worked with them since Avery was like 3 years old. And so that is kind of a dream collaboration, because they are literally, hopefully, guys, don't fire me, hopefully we will work together until she literally goes to college,
and they'll be there with you.
Yeah.
So there's some really wonderful collaborations, and just again natural, authentic ways that I am able to bring her into my content. But again, it's always at this age, especially, it's consensual. And there have been times where we'll take a picture and she goes, "Mom, don't post that." Like, she knows to say, I don't want that online.
Yeah.
Or if I see something that I'm like, maybe this might be uncomfortable for her, and I'll show her, and she'll either say, "Go ahead and post it. That seems fun," or not. And I think it's just, you really have to involve your kids in the conversation, and I pay her. She is a paid employee as well. If you have a family business, you need to pay your kids, because you will start setting them up for their retirement accounts early on. And then it shows them the value of working for $1. So no, Avery's been an employee since infancy.
What a great partnership.
Her resume.
And listen, her Sephora needs keep growing every month. So
that I was gonna ask, do you pay in actual money or in Sephora?
A little bit of both. There have to be some perks.
And drunken elephant and money.
I know.
These kids don't need the moisturizer. Oh my God.
That's another podcast. Podcast.
I got 2 boys. I'm good.
All right, so Michelle, where can everybody follow you?
They can find me on pretty much every platform. My most important and longest running, of course, is my website, modernbocamom.com. So please follow me there and subscribe to my newsletter. I send out really fun stuff every week. Also Instagram, Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Modern Boca Moms FB Facebook group. And I'm also dabbling on TikTok, because really I like to be where the moms are, and they're slowly going over there. So TikTok is fun. I kind of consider it a little playground right now.
Yeah.
I'm following you guys, of course.
Yay, thank you.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we follow you back. If not, we will right
You
after
do,
we're done
you do.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you so much, Michelle. Really appreciated you coming on.
Thank you for having me, Palm Queens.
Thank you. I love Michelle. She's so
She's
much
the best.
fun. She's like such a pro, and
She's an honorary Palm Queen, by the way.
I think so. I agree with you, and I feel like she's like the OG of the microbloggers in our area.
Absolutely.
Big time.
And I was actually watching that video that we were talking about with little Guillaume and little Avery, and they're so baby. Oh my God.
I know. You're making me want to go watch that video as well. Like, that was actually, I think, our first video as
It was
well,
our first
working
video.
together.
It was actually my first video that I did with Boca Mag
Yeah.
was over there, and Little Guillaume. Yeah. And they're making little Lego race cars and
I
stuff.
remember that.
Yeah. We'll go back. We got to go back to the archives.
Yeah.
But Michelle just came back from a cruise, and she is obviously a daredevil because they have this like crazy slide that propels you down. Did you see that on her Instagram?
Did see it.
Yes, and I said no thank
And
you.
how did she get in there? Was it a GoPro? Because like was the footage in the slide? Did you
I think
see
she
it?
had something, because I remember, I
Yeah.
think it was in her stories where she was like waving at somebody videoing her going in, and she was carrying.
Yeah.
I mean, they must be like a waterproof GoPro or something. She's probably got like a whole like backpack of equipment,
Tools.
Yeah.
tools.
Blogger tools. No,
Did you do it?
I think I'd give it a thought for like a quick minute, and then I would chicken out. Like just watching her video gave me, I was very nervous.
Yeah.
I was
don't even-
hyperventilating.
I don't even do roller coasters.
Yeah, I don't do roller coasters either. That's why I was asking. But I will say, I'm a chicken, but I almost try everything once to an extent. I'm
Not roller coasters, I won't.
I've done roller coasters, hated it, and then and then it's done. Like I'm done. It's out of my system.
So does Splash Mountain count as a roller coaster in that category because you're dropping?
I don't even
or
like
is that
those.
different?
I don't even like
I
those.
think that counts.
That to me is the scariest ride because when
not
you
even-
go down, your tush goes up.
You're not even buckled in. You're
not
just
buckled
sitting
in.
in like a log going.
I'm like, I'm gonna fly out.
I've got very sad news. That is not like that. Like that's not hard for people. That's like easy.
I know.
I know, but for the whole time, and it's a long ride too. Space Mountain, I'm okay.
Space Mountain is like the craziest I can go because they don't have. I think it's because they don't have drops.
Correct.
Is my thing. I hate that feeling of
I can't.
It
That's
feels
like my
like
top
a
five
pa-
worst feeling of like
the
life.
drop.
Yeah, when your stomach drops.
Well, yeah,
I
and
hate
Space
that
Mountain
part.
doesn't have any.
That's
It does. It very much does.
It's small though. It's not that like
I hate.
humongous.
I still felt it, and I did not like
Well,
it.
it's funny. So the last time I went on it, like 10 years ago, I can maybe go once every 10 years or something. We were in line, and like my friend took a picture of me, and I look like I'm having like a come to Jesus moment, like pumping myself up, like you can do this, Space Mountain, you've got this, and I'm just like super serious.
I remember I wanted to go when I was 10 years old. And so my mom said, okay. And I'm like, Mom, it's not a big deal. It's like this little ride. And so we go in, and the whole time I go, oh my God, Mom, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. My mom's like, no, it's fine. It's not a big deal. We got off. She goes, that was the worst thing I've ever been on. I will never get on it. But she didn't want me to get even more panic.
Yeah.
So she
Your
was
mom
just,
was
she was
being
just
brave.
like,
she was being brave. And then she's like, never again.
Oh my God. This just gave me PTSD when you said that. So one year when the Toy Story section opened up at, what was that? The one that used to be MGM.
Yeah, I still call it the MGM one,
me
the
too,
movie one.
Me too.
Universal?
No, in Disney. Anyways, I wrote
You can tell how many times I go to Disney.
I did a blog for the magazine, for Boca Mag.
Yeah.
And we went, and they had just, the individuals there on the fam trip going on the Slinky Dog. And I was like, how bad can the Slinky Dog be? Because it's the Slinky Dog. It looks so kiddish and all of this stuff. And my family knows that I don't ride roller coasters, but they had the families go like do some stuff in this one section. And then the people who came the fam trip that was representing the media, only we rode said Slinky Dog. And I'm seeing older people. I'm seeing like such like an array of ages of the media people or the influencers. And I'm thinking, again, it's a Slinky Dog. It's like, how bad can this be? The shrieks that came out of my body. The shrieks that came out of my body amongst the strangers that I had to ride with. It was so embarrassing. And I was like, never again.
Yeah, so you're like, really...
So this ends our interaction with each other for the rest of our lives.
I was like, wow, this is embarrassing.
All right, so you really have no stamina when it comes to roller coasters because Guillaume could do that at 4 years old. So.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. Like,
So,
I really couldn't do it.
So Palm Paradise will not be filmed from a theme park in the near future.
Can you imagine how
wait,
much
wait.
fun that would be, though?
Wait, we could go around the world though at Epcot.
At Epcot?
I'm down for
It's
that.
a small world on the boat.
No, the
Drink your way
around
around
the
the
ride.
Epcot. Oh, yeah.
We
Okay.
could do do that.
I could do that with you too.
I'm game for that.
That I can do.
Yeah.
So
That I
no
can
jumping
do.
out of airplanes, no bungee jumping,
No.
nothing crazy. All
I
right.
can't.
No, I'm with you. So obviously we're all chickens here.
Yeah. Quack, quack.
So well on that note, this is Palm Paradise.
We like it right here on the couch.
On the ground, yes. So thank you all for listening to another episode of Palm Paradise. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting platform as well as on YouTube. We're also on TikTok and Instagram. And of course, you can follow Boca Magazine online at bocamag.com. We've got a million newsletters as well as being on social media. And that's it for today. Bye.